Good morning, students. I discussed the characteristics of a living being yesterday. So today's concept, diversity in the living world, or what we say, biodiversity. See, we have rich heritage of flora, plants, variety of plants, right from multicellular algae in aquatic habitat, bryophyte, pteridophytes, then gymnosperms and angiosperms, okay, variety of flora. Fauna, that is animals, invertebrates, vertebrates, birds, mammals, fishes, etc. Then we have large number of microbes, microbes, microscopic organisms which are not usually visible to the naked eyes. They are visible only under microscope. So these all different plants, animals as well as microbes, so they are distributed throughout the world. They are present in what you call the soil. They are present in microbes, particularly present in soil, present in air, present in water. Okay, the life exists. Okay, plants, animals found on land. Okay, on the mountain top, then even in aquatic habitat, in the ocean, right? So in what you call different habitat, these particular living organisms are confined. Variety of habitats we have. What you call hydric habitat, that is water. Then mesic habitat, wet conditions. Then we have xeric habitat, very dry conditions, desert-like conditions. Okay, so different habitats to which the different what you call living beings are living, or they are found in different habitats. So present estimation of the range is between 1.7 to 1.8 million living organisms have been scientifically named and classified. So the range is around 1.7 to 1.8 million living organisms, or the living species have been scientifically named and classified. Out of these, around 1.2 million animals, large number of animals are there. Okay, animals which are living on land and even in aquatic habitat. Out of the 1.2 million animals, we have more than 1 lakh insect group. That is the largest group in animal kingdom. More than 1 million, 10 lakh 25,000 species of insects are there. Out of 1.2 million, more than 1 million, that is more than 10 lakh insects are there. And remaining the number that comprise invertebrates, then vertebrates, okay, the fishes, then amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, all these. So large group of animals are there. Then 500,000 plants are there. 500,000 plants are there. So in these plants, variety of what I call plants you have, right from algae to the angiosperms. So angiosperms, they are advanced group of plants, highly evolved plants. Okay, so you have bryophyte, pteridophyte, then gymnosperms and angiosperm. Different group of plants, highly evolved plants, angiosperm. Multicellular algae, green, brown, red algae, they are confined usually to aquatic habitat. Okay. In addition to that, large number of microbes are there. Large number of microbes or microscopic organisms are there, which are observed under microscope, not observed by the naked eyes. Okay, so we have large number of what you call plants and animals as well as microorganisms. So, rich heritage of flora and fauna we have. The number and type of organisms present on Earth, that we call it as biodiversity. This is the definition of biodiversity. One mark, very important. What is the definition of biodiversity? The number and type of organisms present on Earth. These are the numbers, approximate range. These are the numbers. Okay, and different types of organisms are there: plants, animals, microbes. They are present on the Earth. So that we call it a biodiversity. Another definition you can give: the sum total of species richness. The sum total of species richness is known as biodiversity, or collection of variety of life forms. Collection of variety of life forms is also known as biodiversity. This is the NCERT definition: the number and type of organisms present on Earth, that is called as biodiversity. So these plants are adapted to different habitat. Many are growing on the land. Okay, they are terrestrial plants. Some are aquatic, that is hydrophytes, what we call. We have mesophytes, which are growing in wet condition. We have halophytes, which are growing in saline soil. Some are growing on the rock also, right? So to different habitat, these what you call plants are adapted. The plants can be herbs, very small sized plant. The plants can be shrubs, medium sized plant. The plants can be very tall trees, big trees. So different groups of plants we have: annuals, biennials, perennials. So large number and variety of plants that we see in what you call the forest, the natural habitat of the what you call life forms, that is forest. So there we can find rich heritage of plant. In addition to that, you will find rich heritage of animals, mainly in the case of what you call the forest organism. So the rich species of diversity, rich biodiversity variety of the flora and fauna we find mainly in tropical rainforest. You'll find in tropical rainforest. Rich species of flora and fauna, that is biodiversity, you'll find in tropical rainforest, and also in tropical ocean. In tropical water reef of the ocean, that ocean is mainly tropical ocean. So there, rich heritage of what we call flora, fauna, we will find. Reasons for diverse biodiversity amongst living beings. Amongst living beings. Reasons for the diverse various groups of plants and animals you will find and all. What are the reasons for that? Adaptation in organisms to diverse habitat. Organisms are adjusted to different kind of habitat in order to reduce competition. They are adapted to different habitat. Suppose if all the plants or all the animals living in only one habitat, there will be competition among themselves for the basic needs like food, shelter, water, mineral requirements for reproduction, etc. So organisms are well adapted to different habitat in order to reduce the competition. Then what we call change in genetic constitution. Change in genetic constitution, change in genetic makeup because of variations that has induced many new trait or character that has led to evolution of new character. Isolation. Some of the species are reproductively isolated so that they can produce the fertile young ones in a particular habitat. So these are the reasons for what we call rich species of biodiversity among the living beings. So try to remember the reasons for the biodiversity, right? So we have rich flora and fauna confined to mainly tropical rainforest as well as in the tropical ocean. So when we have so many large number of plants and animals, it is very difficult to remember the characters of each plant and animal. It is very difficult to remember the characters of each what you call plants, animal, microbes. So we need to what you call based on the characters, what are present, what are seen in that particular species or living being. Okay, these living species are classified into groups and subgroups based on the observable characters, based on the easily observable character, whatever these plants, animals, microorganisms which have been identified. Okay, so these have to be classified into groups and subgroups for systematic study. For systematic study, it will be very convenient to remember the characters if we group these plants and animals into respective group. Instead of remembering the individual character of a species, we can have the characters of that particular group so that very easy to remember. Say for example, angiosperm. Angiosperms, they have what you call the advanced character, taproot system, fibrous root system. Okay, then we have stem, branched or unbranched leaves, simple leaves or compound leaves, presence of flowers, sepals, petals, stamens, then gynoecium. So specific characters will be there. So the plants which come under group angiosperm, very easy to remember these different character. Rather than remembering the individual plant character, it will be very difficult because we have huge number of plants, we have huge number of animals. It will be very difficult to remember each and every character of the plant and animal. Instead of that, based on all observable character and which are having similar character, such group of plants are placed in one group, and the one which are having dissimilar character, which are not identical, they can be placed in separate group. So to have systematic study of this rich biodiversity, there was establishment of a branch in biology, that is taxonomy. A separate branch was established, that is taxonomy. The word taxonomy was coined by APD Candle. APD Candle coined the term taxonomy. Taxis derived from the Greek term taxis, nomos. So taxis means arrangement. Nomos means law. So a particular branch in biology was established, that is taxonomy. The term was coined by APD Candle. Taxis means derived from Greek term. Taxis means arrangement. Nomos means law. So what is this taxonomy? Taxonomy is the branch of biology. Branch of biology, which mainly deals with characterization and identification, nomenclature, and classification of organisms. It can be plant, animal, whatever it is. So it's a branch of biology which mainly deals with characterization and identification. We'll come to the meaning of that. Then nomenclature, nothing but naming. Okay, and classification of organism, grouping of these plant and animals into convenient categories. So this is the branch of what we call the taxonomy. So the basics of taxonomy, the basic elements of taxonomy are: one is characterization and identification. The basic elements of taxonomy, one is characterization and identification, another one naming, that is nomenclature, and another one classification. So these are the basic elements of the taxonomy. The father of taxonomy, modern taxonomy, we have a Swedish naturalist, Carolus Linnaeus. He is known as father of modern taxonomy. Remember, for general knowledge point of view, father of biology and zoology, father of biology and zoology, the great Greek philosopher Aristotle, known as father of biology, first person to study the living organisms and first person to classify the animals based on certain characters. Aristotle regarded as father of biology as well as father of zoology. Then we have father of botany. Disciple or student of Aristotle later on. His name is Theophrastus, regarded as father of botany. So father of modern taxonomy, Carolus Linnaeus. Father of Indian taxonomy, father of Indian taxonomy, Santapa is regarded as father of Indian taxonomy. We have one more term, that is systematics. Little later on we will learn. Little later on we will learn about systematics. See, when man came to know that these plants can serve as a source of food, okay, so that is in the beginning, right? The taxonomy was based on mainly uses. We used to group the plants based on their uses. Okay, in the olden days, several thousand years back, what we say, based on the uses, such as we used to get food, we used to get clothing and shelter from mainly plants. We used to classify the plants based on the uses. That is in the very beginning, when the human civilization started. In the beginning, man led nomadic life. Man used to wander from one place to another place. So based on the uses, earlier these plants were what you call grouped, classified. So the beginning, the taxonomy, what we followed, that is classical taxonomy. Classical taxonomy. The taxonomy which was followed earlier, old taxonomy, simple meaning, old taxonomy. This old taxonomy, where plants and animals were grouped, mainly based on what you call morphological characters, observable morphological character. So grouping of plants and animals into respective category or groups in the beginning was done based on observable external characters, that is morphological character. Modern taxonomy make use of several characters in order to group plants and animals. What modern taxonomy is based on several characters. It is based on the characters, mainly external structure, external features, morphological features, what characters appear by seeing the plant and animal, internal structure, when we take the section of a plant part or animal part, and when we see under microscope, what will be the internal structure, internal cells or tissue part will be there, anatomical, internal structure, anatomical feature. then cell structure, cytological feature, cell structure. What kind of cell, prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cell? Organism may be unicellular or multicellular. Unicellular organism, simple organization. Multicellular organism, complex organization. Development process. Based on the development process, how there will be development of a plant. See, we sow the seed will germinate and it forms small seedling. From the seedling, later on, we'll get herb, shrub, tree. So how the developmental process occur? How in animals, a zygote can develop into embryo, and from embryo, later on, a young one is born. Okay, so that is development process. Then based on ecological information, study of environment, that is ecology. So based on ecological information of organisms. These are the characters or the features on that modern taxonomy is based on. So modern taxonomy will take into consideration the large number of the features so that we can correctly group, name, classify the plants, animals, and microorganisms. So we have three basic elements of taxonomy. One is characterization and identification. It is one of the basic element of taxonomy. So what is characterization and identification? It is the determination of similarities in an organism based on already known organism due to the specific character, based on specific characters. See, when we do research, say we will go to a forest and we'll find a particular plant or we'll find a particular animal. We will list out all the characters which are seen in that particular plant or animal. Now, how we say that it is a newly discovered plant or animal? These characters have to be compared with already known organism, already known species. The characters on comparison, when you find the presence of existence of the new characters in that particular plant or animal which you have seen in that forest, these characters are not seen in already known organism. See, we have one plant. Say we have a plant. We know very well about this. Okay, in a forest we have seen another plant. These characters we have to study. These characters which are found in this plant have to be compared with the plant which we know already known plant. If these characters are new, these characters are not seen in this plant which we already know, then it is newly identified plant. It is a newly identified plant. So this is how we have to find out the list of characters, okay, features which are present in that plant and animal, and we have to compare these characters of a plant with already known plant based on specific character. This we call it as characterization and identification. What is characterization and identification? It is the determination of similarities of an organism with a already known organism with a already known organism based on specific characters or based on specific features. So it is the determination of similarities of an organism with the already known organism based on specific characters. Say we have plant A. Okay, we already know about this. We already know about this. When we do the research in a forest, we will find a plant B. We will list out the characters what are seen in this plant B. So characters of plant B will be compared with characters of plant A. Some characters will be similar. Some characters will be similar between plant B, which is now seen, and already which we know about plant A. Many of the characters in plant B are new, that are not seen in plant A. That means plant B is now newly identified one. So this is what characterization and identification. That is the determination of similarities of an organism with already known organism based on specific features or character. That is the first basic element of the taxonomy. Now the second point, what we call basic of the taxonomy is mainly nomenclature. Nomenclature in simple meaning it is name. So what is nomenclature? It is a determination of correct name, scientific name. When we give the name to plant, animal or microbe, it should be universally accepted. It should be common in all the languages. So it is the determination of correct name of an organism based on or in accordance to established universal rules. There are specific rules in order to name an organism. So naming of an organism is nomenclature. So what is nomenclature? It is the determination of correct name. It is the determination of correct name, scientific name, not local name, vernacular name, what we call, you will come to know. Okay, it is the determination of correct name of an organism according to established universal rules. So we have to give the name to an organism based on certain rules and regulations, certain criteria which are formulated by some international agencies. How we want, we cannot give the name. This can be followed in giving the local name. Okay, Abhishek, Sachin, Virat, okay, like that, Aishwarya. These are all common names what we mentioned. We have to give scientific name. Say human being. We are having scientific name Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens is the scientific name. It is universally accepted. So human being, if we call Homo sapiens, means it is understood Homo sapiens in any part of the world, irrespective of the language which is spoken there. So determination of correct name of an organism, that is nomenclature. So characterization and identification, nomenclature, and third basic, what is that? It is classification. Classification. We have to group the newly identified named plant or animal or a organism into convenient category, whether it belong to mammal, it belong to aves, it belong to amphibian, whether it belong to what you call angiosperms, or it belong to bryophyte or pteridophyte, whether it belong to dicots or monocot. So we have to group, we have to place that newly identified and named organism into convenient category. That we call it a classification. So classification is, it is the grouping of organisms. It is the grouping of organisms into convenient categories. It is the grouping of organisms into convenient categories on the basis of easily observable characters. So it is a grouping of organisms into convenient categories on the basis of easily observable character. What characters which we can find in the organism so easily, based on the character, we can group that organism into convenient category. Okay, if taproot system is there, dicotyledon, reticulate venation, dicotyledon, pentamerous flower, dicotyledon. Okay, if fibrous root system is there, then parallel venation, okay, trimerous flower, these can be grouped into monocotyledon. Presence of hairs, presence of very well developed cranial system, presence of vertebral column, okay, presence of mammary gland, these mainly we group that into mammals. So based on easily observable character, plant, animal or microbe can be placed into a particular specific group, a convenient category, that we call it a classification. So these are the three basics of the taxonomy that we have to remember. Need for classification. What is the need for classification? I told you have to classify. It is not possible to identify an organism without a system of classification. It is not possible to identify an organism without a system of classification. That is the first reason why we need to classify the organisms. It is not possible to identify an organism without a system of classification. The next, newly discovered organisms. Newly discovered organisms can be placed in proper groups. Newly discovered organisms can be placed in proper groups. Newly discovered organism can be placed in proper groups, specific groups, through a system of classification. Through a system of classification. So, newly discovered organisms can be placed in proper groups through a system. So, when we discover a new organism, that can be placed in a suitable group through a classification. Remember, when we study one or two organisms, it is easy to find out the features of the whole group. It is easy to find out the features of the whole groups. Study of one or two organisms can provide information about whole group. We need not study several individual member characters, all that. One or two organisms, if you study, it can provide complete information. It can provide complete information about whole group. About the whole group. So study of one or two organisms can provide complete information about the whole group. It is helpful, it is useful in knowing the need for classification. Fourth point, why we have to classify. These are the needs. It is helpful in knowing, it is helpful to know or in knowing missing links, relationship, missing link, relationship, and evolution of taxa. Evolution of a taxa. You will come to know what is taxa or that. So the fourth point is, it is useful to know the missing links. What are the connecting links that are missing? Say, each plant and each animal descended from its ancestors. Say, angiosperm descended from gymnosperm, gymnosperm from pteridophyte, pteridophytes from bryophyte, bryophytes from algae. So, in between, if any connecting link is there, if that is missing, that we can know, and we can establish the relationship based on the character. And if a new unit of classification, if a new category or new species has evolved, that evolution of taxa also we can find out. So these are the needs for classification. So taxonomy is the branch of biology which mainly deals with characterization and identification, naming, that is nomenclature, and classification of organism. So try to remember the definition of taxonomy. These are the what you call the basic elements of the taxonomy, and why we need to classify. These reasons we have to remember. See, when we have large number of plants and animals, only few animals have been what you call named, which we are finding in surrounding habitat with local names, with vernacular names. So we have to study about what you call it, nomenclature. We have different plants and animals living in different habitats. Large number of plants are there, animals are there, whose characters very difficult to remember unless we do the systematic study with the help of this taxonomy. One of the aspect is mainly the naming of organism, that is the nomenclature. We have to give the name to a organism. Naming of an organism is, in simple term, that is nomenclature. The organisms which we find in our surrounding, we have given the name. That name, what we call local name. It is called local name or vernacular name. Local name or vernacular name. The names in local, the names in the name in local or common language. The names in local or common language are called as vernacular names. Vernacular name. They are called as vernacular name. See, in India itself, say for example, we have name Sachin. Thousands of Sachin are there. The name Sachin is a local name, or it is also called as vernacular name. What is vernacular name? The names in local or common language is called as vernacular name. There are thousands of Sachin are there in India. Which Sachin we are talking about, very difficult to identify. To whom we are referring, it is very difficult to identify, because this name, this is a local name, it is shared by thousands of people. Like that, when you give a plant local name, okay, say for example, you have onion. The local name is Ulagadi, Irulli. Okay. This is local name. If you go to the neighboring state, if we use the term Irulli or Ulagadi, they may not be able to understand, because this plant is known by other name in other place, in other state. So the local names are variable from one place to another place. Local names varies from one place to other place. The local name or vernacular name varies from one place to other place. In Karnataka, we call onion as Irulli, Ulagadi. Whereas in Andhra, in Telugu, it is called as Ullipai. And in Marathi, it is called as Kanda. So, this onion is known by many names in India because of many local languages which we speak. So this local name is not universal. It is not universal. It varies from what I call one language to another language. It varies from one language to other language. The local name varies from one country to other country. It is very difficult to communicate especially the living beings, the plants, animals, okay, with local names. Because the local names are not universal, they vary from one place to another place, they vary from one language to another language, from one country to another country, and the local name is shared by many individuals, and the one which are okay very useful to us, the one which are very useful to us and which are commonly found in the surrounding habitat, in our surrounding environment, the organisms which are commonly found and the one which are very useful, we have given the local name. Only for such living beings or for such species, we have given the local name. But there are so many plants and so many animals which are found in natural habitats such as forest. We have not given local names to those plants and animals. So, local names have been given to those plants and animals which are commonly found in our surrounding and much useful for us. But there are large number of plants and animals which are found in forest. Okay, they may have different roles, they may have different economic importance, they may not have any useful role to the human being, but these have not been given the local names. So these are the disadvantages of giving the local name or vernacular name. So vernacular name or local name create confusion. For better understanding of what I call the living species of plants and animals, when we study about biology, when we study about botany and zoology, giving the scientific name is very essential. Otherwise, it will create a confusion to us, and these names are not universal. Names of a person, name of a plant or animal varies from one country to another country, do not remain the same. So by giving local name, it is creating confusion, havoc. We are unable to understand the concepts okay, clearly with respect to a particular plant or animals. That's why we have to give the scientific name that should be in accordance to the rules, regulations given by the agencies. So we have to give the scientific name, scientific naming of organism. Okay, that is nomenclature. So what kind of nomenclature we are following in order to name the organism? We are following binomial nomenclature. We have some examples of trinomial nomenclature also, but presently we are following okay, binomial nomenclature. So binomial nomenclature, it was proposed by a Swedish naturalist by name Carolus Linnaeus. Binomial nomenclature was given by Carolus Linnaeus. Remember. So Carolus Linnaeus is known as father of modern taxonomy. Carolus Linnaeus is known as father of modern taxonomy because he proposed, he gave binomial nomenclature. He published different books. He published different books. He studied different variety of plants and even animals also. He tried to classify and name these plants and animals. So his contribution with respect to identification, naming and classification of plant and animals is immense. That's why he is known as father of modern taxonomy. Remember, Carolus Linnaeus is known as father of modern taxonomy. So what is this binomial nomenclature? The scientific naming of an organism using the two-word name. Scientific naming of an organism using two-word name. Say, for example, human beings. The scientific name is Homo sapiens. So scientific naming of an organism using two-word name. So the first name what we have written here, Homo. This name we have written first. It is genus name, and sapiens we have written it is species name. This is genus name and this sapiens is species name. The Latinized name of genus, Latinized name is generic name. The Latinized name of species is specific name, or what we say, specific epithet. Specific epithet. So scientific name of an organism using two-word name, that is first genus name and second species name. So we are using two words, first genus name and second species name. This type of naming we call it as binomial nomenclature. It was given by Carolus Linnaeus. It was given by Carolus Linnaeus. Remember. Listen, Carolus Linnaeus gave principles of, he gave certain principles of binomial nomenclature in a book. What is that book? Philosophia Botanica. Certain principles of binomial nomenclature were published in a book. That book named as Philosophia Botanica. This was in the year 1751. Later on, valid scientific names of plants. Valid scientific names of plants. Around 5,900 species of plants he studied, he observed, studied Okay, and named in a book, in a book published in the year 1753. 1753, it is named as species plantarum. He studied around 5,900 species of plants, and he classified and he named and published a book in the year 1753 by name Species Plantarum. So valid scientific name of plants were published in the year 1753. The book name is Species Plantarum. Then little later on, the valid scientific names of animals. Valid scientific name of animals. He studied the animals and he gave the names of the animals in a book. He published a book. This was in the year 1758. 1758. That book he named it as Systema Naturae. Systema Naturae was the book in which he gave the valid scientific name of animals later on, that is in the year 1758. So he studied around 4,326 species of animals, and he gave the valid scientific names of animals in a book published as Systema Naturae. Remember, okay. Certain principles of binomial nomenclature were given in the book Philosophia Botanica. Valid scientific name of plants were published in the book Species Plantarum. Valid scientific names of animals were given in the book Systema Naturae. So these are the books published by what you call Carolus Linnaeus with respect to taxonomy field. That's why he is regarded as father of modern taxonomy. In NCERT, only one book is mentioned. The book published by Carolus Linnaeus, one mark very important. One mark very important, that is Systema Naturae. Now, when we give the scientific name, certain rules, regulations, criteria have to be followed. Certain rules, regulation, norms, criteria have to be followed. So these rules, regulations, criteria have been formulated. The rules, regulations, criteria, norms have been formulated or framed by international agency. By international agencies. They will give specific rule guidelines how we have to scientifically name a organism as per binomial nomenclature. Valid scientific name for plants as per the rules and regulations given by ICBN. You have to remember one mark, very important. Characters of living being can be asked for 3 marks. Characters of living being important for 3 marks as per theory point of view. In NEET also questions can be asked. Okay. Then now remember the expansion of ICBN. The scientific naming of animals as per the rules and regulation governed by ICZN. Expand ICBN, expand ICZN, very important for 1 mark. So what is this ICBN? International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. So the rules, regulations given by an international agency, that is International Code of Botanical Nomenclature for scientific naming of plants. We have to follow, we are following the rules guidelines as given by ICBN. Similarly, giving the scientific name in accordance to the rules and regulations or criteria framed by ICZN for the animals. That is, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. This is called an International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. So these two we have to remember. ICBN and ICZN, very important. So these are the international agencies which are providing certain rules, regulation, norms or criteria, okay, for naming a organism scientifically. So these scientific names which are given in accordance to the rules, they are universally accepted. They remain same in all the languages. I told the demerit of giving local name, all that. But when you give the scientific name, as per the rules given by these, it is universally accepted. The scientific name remains the same. Okay, it remains same in all the language. And when you give what you call scientific name to a plant or animal, that scientific name is unique. That particular plant or animal has that name. No other plant or animal has the same name. Vernacular name or common name, local name, many people can share that name. Okay, that can create confusion. So scientific names totally avoid confusion. They remain same all over the world. They are universal in application. Okay, so that is the advantage of this scientific naming as per binomial nomenclature. So next concept, very important concept. Rules of binomial nomenclature. 2 marks, very, very important. Very important. What are the rules? I told rules are framed by ICBN and ICZN. So the rules, every organism has 2-word scientific name. Every organism has a 2-word scientific name. So the first word is genus name. That is the first word. and second word is species name. That is second word. Take for example, you have mango. Mango scientific name is Mangifera indica. The first word it is genus name or what we call generic name. The second word is species name or what we call specific name or it is referred as specific epithet. Specific epithet. So every organism has a two-word scientific name. First, the genus name, and second, the species name. This is the scientific name of mango. The first word is what we call genus name, and second word is species name. When you write the what we call scientific name, when we write the scientific name, first we have to write genus name. We have to write genus name. Genus is compared to noun. Okay, so we will write genus name, and first letter of the genus name or generic name should be capital. Should be capital. See here, the first letter of the genus name should be capital. It should start with capital letter. It should start or begin with starts with capital letter. Genus name should be written first. Then we have to write. Okay. Second, what we have to write? Species name. Species name. Second, we have to write species name. Species is compared to an adjective. Genus is compared to noun. It is written first, and its word. They say Mangifera. The genus name will start with initial capital letter. Second letter, genus name is followed by species name. Okay. So here, the second word, that is species name, starting letter should start with small letter. Should start with small letter. The second word, which is species, its first letter, species, this is the first letter, species, indica, indica is the species. Its first letter should start with small letter. It is adjective. Epithet. Epithet means an adjective expressing a quality. Epithets. It is also called specific epithet. Epithet means an adjective expressing a quality or what we say attribute. A quality or attribute. So every organism has been given scientific name. It has a two-word name. First genus name and second species name. The next rule what it says, genus name should be written first. It should start with the initial capital letter. Genus name is followed by species name or specific epithet. Its name should start with initial small letter, right? Specific name or species name is, species is an adjective, okay? It is called as specific epithet. That epithet means an adjective expressing a quality or attribute, right? So remaining rules all I will continue tomorrow.